Hello, welcome to Free Maths Lessons. Today we're going to be looking at 2023 practice paper set 3, paper 2, higher. How to use these videos to revise. So, you can see the videos here has got so many chapters from this slider here. If I wanted to go to the question 14 or 11 or 10, I go take this slider and you can see the question will come up there, which question you need to go to. Again, if you're finding it difficult to go exactly to that question, then what you would do, you need to bear with these advertisers as well. You can go on to the description here and I'll put those links here, hyperlinks. You can use those or you can use chapters at the bottom of that. Generally, you have settings where the chapter comes up on the side of the video. You can use that. Again, use these to go to the correct question that you're actually struggling with and you need help with. There's a link to download papers, so I would suggest that you download the paper and have a go at the paper before you actually go through the video explanation, because the best way to revise for maths is to practice them. So you need to practice doing those questions and not just watch the videos. By watching it, you feel like you know everything, but when it comes to doing it, you probably struggle to some of those concepts that you didn't really pick up when you're watching it. You only need to watch the video or watch the part where you struggle to understand. So probably out of 25 questions, you probably need help with 5 or 10 of those questions. So you don't need to watch 1 hour or 1 hour 20 minutes me going through these different questions that you already know how to do them. Okay, so again, I know it's counterproductive for me because I want you to watch the videos. I need to get the 4,000 hours, but again, that's not going to help you pass the exam. So I would suggest use these to get to the question that you need help with, and before you actually watch the video, I need you to do the paper yourself, not just watch the video. Remember, again, link to paper 1 and paper 3 is here. Any related videos that are already done, basically I'm going to try to put those links within the description, so you can use the description to actually download the papers and go to the different videos that you actually struggle with. So I'll probably have videos about each one of these topics end of this year some point. So hopefully I'll be linking each one of those topics to the videos like area of 2D shapes and stuff like that. Okay, transformations, the videos there. So I'm hoping to link every single topics with the video at the end of this year. Right now I don't have many videos on the topics, but it will come through at some point in time. So without delay, let's get started. First question, a to the power 4 times a to the power 6. So we're looking at loads of indices. A to the power 4 multiplied by a to the power 6, we would get a to the power 10. When you have the same base, you add the powers. Again, look at some quick example. Saying a square means a times a. So a to the power 4 means a multiplied by itself 4 times. So again, if I'm multiplying a square with a cube, I'm not going to be saying a to the power 6. I'm going to be doing a to the power 5. Why? Because a cube is a times a times a. So 3a multiplied together with multiplying 2 more a's gives you 5 lots of a together. Same way, 4a multiplied by itself multiplied with 6 lots of a's again gives you a to the power 10. And then I'm dividing it by a cube. Okay, a to the power 10 divided by a cube. So 3 a's at the bottom cancels 3 a's at the top. So you're dividing top and bottom by a 3 times. That leaves you with a to the power 7 at the top. Again, when you're dividing with the same base, then you take away the power. That's another load. So you get a to the power 7 as an answer. Again, getting that a to the power 10 will get you the first mark, and getting the final answer here, a to the power 7, gives you that second mark. If you throw a coin 50 times, the coin lands on a head 30 times. So relative frequency of landing on head. So relative frequency means what is the probability related to the frequency that you just done or experiment that you done. So probability of getting head is going to be 30 times out of 50 times. So that's the frequency. When you flip the coin 50 times, so your probability of head would be out of 50 because you toss the coin 50 times. And how many of those 50 times it landed on head. And that's why it's known as a relative frequency, because your probability is related to the frequency that's of getting head or landing on head. Again, it doesn't help to simplify because it doesn't ask you to simplify your answer. So you can write it as a 3/5, but always simplify your answer in case you didn't read the questions correctly or fully and lose the mark. So that's 3/5, but you would have got marks even if you wrote down 30 out of 50. Write down this number in standard form. So standard form will always have this form. A is a sum number that's between less than 10 and more than 1. And multiplying it by 10 to the power n. Remember, the A has to be greater than or equal to 1 or less than, strictly less than 10. So it can't not be 10, but it can be 1. So how do I make this number here go between 1 and 10? So if I put decimal between 4 and 6, I would get 4.6. That's the number between 1 and 10. So I got my first thing. Now 4.6 times 10 to the power what gives me back this number here that I want. So I'm looking to go back 1, so divide by 10, 10 square, 10 cube, 10 to the power 4, and 10 to the power 5. So when I divide that 4.6 by 10 to the power 5, which is same as multiplying by 10 to the power negative 5. So because I'm dividing it, I'm multiplying by 10 to the power negative 5. So that's my standard form. Expand and simplify. We're multiplying two brackets. I would prefer to use a grid method again. So we got x and positive 6, x and negative 3. Put them in the grid. So first work out this length here, x, and that length there is x. So x times x will give you x squared. That's the area there. X times positive 6 will give you positive 6x. Negative 3x and negative 3 times 6 will give you negative 18. So that's expanding brackets done there. You would get 1 mark. Now we need to simplify, means collecting these common terms, the x terms here. 6x and negative 3x will give you 3x. So your answer would be x squared plus 3x and minus 18. Now this one here, they ask you to solve it and only 1 mark. Again, if this question was more than 1 mark, then you probably have to do a lot of tricky things. Here, what we're using is fact. This is a number here, multiplied by another number, that's x plus 4, and that gives you 0. Think of two numbers that multiply gives you 0. So it has to be, one of the number has to be 0 to get the answer 0. 0 times anything will give you 0. So we can say it's either x minus 9 that's equal to 0 or x plus 4 that's equal to 0. So those are the two possible answers you can get. If you're saying this is 0, multiply by something will give you 0. Or if you're saying this is 0, multiply by something that gives you answer 0. So one of these situations will give you answer. That's why you got the two values for x here that we need to put. If x take away 9 is equal to 0, that implies that x has to be equal to 9. So if you put x equal to 9 in there, 9 take away 9 is 0, 0 times something, doesn't matter what that would be. 13 will give you 0, 0 times 13 is 0. Or if x plus 4 is equal to 0, that implies x has to be equal to negative 4. If you put x equal to negative 4 in here, you get negative 13 times 0, which is also 0. It doesn't matter what you get on the other bracket. As long as one of these numbers is 0, you get answer 0. So those are the two values here, x equal to 9 or x equal to negative 4. This question here is just about putting the values in the calculator. 4/3 pi r cube. We look into answer saying, okay, that's the volume of sphere. If the radius is 3, what is the volume of the sphere? So we put that numbers in the calculator. You put 4/3 multiplied by pi multiplied by radius cube, which is 3 cube. 3 cancel out one of the 3, so we get 9 pi times 4 gives you 36 pi. Again, if you're not sure, just put that in the calculator with the bracket. So you get 36 pi, you get full 2 marks. or even if you change that into decimals and put it in the calculator, whatever the answer you write down, 36, we get 113.1. So either one of those answers would get you those 2 marks. Second part of this question here, again, we need to be using this answer. So even if you had something else here, we're going to be using that answer to get to the whatever the answer you have here to get those marks. Okay, it's called follow through marks. So we're going to use the answers that's already there. So first part here, density of the steel is 5.2 grams per centimeter cubed. That actually gives you the formula. You can use this information to work out the formula. So the density D comes from grams, which is your mass or the weight we call it, divide, that slash means divide by the centimeter cube. Now centimeter cube is the unit for the volume. So you're saying density comes from mass divided by volume. And you need to work out the formula for the mass of the sphere. So if you want to work out what mass is, we need to get rid of this V from here. So multiply V on both sides. So we can say the mass, it comes from volume times the density. Density times volume or volume times density, it doesn't matter. That's where you get the mass from. Now we know the density, which is 5.2. And we know the volume, which is 113.1 at 1 decimal place. Multiply those out and you will get your mass. And remember, it's a calculator paper. So I get 588 grams to nearest grams. I'm not going to change it into 0.1. It will get 588.106. So I'll leave my answer at that place. Daniel invests for 2,500 for 3 years. Okay. So every year he gets 2.9% interest on that. And it's a compound interest. So the next year I would get interest on top of that. So we start with 2,500 and then you multiply by 1.029, which happens in these two cases. So you see, either one of those two is our answer. But then you multiply by 1.029 again, then you multiply by 1.029 again. That leaves you with this answer here. Not multiplying by 3, you're not tripling that every year. You're only getting 2.9% interest per year. So that's the answer we should have for the Daniel. Now Anna, on the other hand, invests same amount for 3 years. In the first year, Anna gets 3.5%. So the Anna's amount of money Anna will get is 2,500 multiplied by 1.0. If you wanted to add 3.5%, you would get 103.5, which is 1.035 amount. So what would Anna get at the end of that year? First year, that's the interest she gets. So I'll put that in. So this is what she would have had at the end of the first year. And then for the next 2 years, she would get 3.3% onward. So we take that amount of the end of the first year, 2,587.5, and multiply by 1.023, because that's the amount of the interest you'll get second year. And that's the amount of the interest he gets the third year as well. So we're getting it for 2 years, that same amount. So we square that. So whatever the answer we had earlier, we're going to multiply it by 1.023 squared. So Anna would end up with 2,707.989. Let's just put that as an 89. So at 2 decimal place, that's what she would get at the end of third year. And the Daniel would get that amount of money end of the third year. So we want to show whose investment is worth more after 3 years. Show you're working out. So we saw on the Anna's working out, we need to show for the Daniel here. The Daniel would get 2,500 multiplied by 1.029 to the power 3. Which is 2,723.87. at 2 decimal places. So whose investment worth more at the end of the 3 years? You can clearly see that Daniel would be earning slightly more than Anna. So Daniel's investment worth more. So you just need to say Daniel at the end, and it would have got you those 4 marks. Remember, that's 1 mark, 2 marks, 3 marks here, and the 4th mark was choosing Daniel. Area of rectangle is 158 centimeters squares. Work out the size of angle X. So if you know this area here, and it's a rectangle, so that rectangle is 10 and the area is 158 centimeters square. We can work out the length or the base of that rectangle, or in other words, a triangle. So the base of the triangle is going to be 15.8. Write it down, 15.8 centimeter. So that's the base and that's the height. We need to work out the size of the angle X. So remember, it's a right angle triangle there. Where you got that's 10 and that's 15.8, and this is our angle X that we're looking at. So for this angle here, that's the opposite and that's adjacent. So we're looking at SOHCAHTOA. Again, that's given to you in the formula sheets now, so you don't have to remember it. Okay, so you can look up your formula sheets and pick the TOA, saying the tan of this angle would be opposite over adjacent. So we're looking at this one here. So tan of X, which is 10 over 15.8. Okay, SOHCAHTOA, opposite over adjacent. Now if you want to work out what X is, we need to put that in the calculator, saying we need to do the inverse tan of 10 over 15.8. Again, use the brackets, that's really important. And I get 35.9 at 1 decimal place. So X is equal to 35.9. Again, if you just write these down, you get majority of the marks. It doesn't tell you what you need to write down as your accuracy. Okay. Equation of the line is y equal to 2x minus 1. Write down the point that is intersect with the y-axis. So y-axis when x is 0. The line will cross the y-axis when you make x to be 0. That's where the y-axis is. So if you make x to be 0, plus 0, x is 0, my y value would be negative 1. That's it. So substitute x equal to 0, you work out where the y-axis is and where that point y value is going to be when x is 0. Triangle A, the angles in triangle A are in that ratio. So let's say this one here is 1, whatever x is, let's say 1x, then that would be double that size basically. Let's say that one is double the size, 2x, and that would be 5x then. So those 180 degrees split in that order. Okay. And for the triangle B, the angle split into the way saying it's going to be 3 by 3x by 4x by 5x. The end number is 5 on both triangles, so the angle must be equal. That's not true, because these two depends on what the total is going to be. Here, if you put it in terms of the x, you can clearly see what I need to do. I need to split that 180 degree equally into this 8 x's. So I'm going to do 180 divided by 8. Now give me what one part of this triangle going to be. So you're saying first one going to be worth, second one going to be worth, third one going to be worth, and so on. So if I do 180 divided by 8, that is 22.5. So smallest angle here is 22.5. So in other words, our x is 22.5. So 5x going to be multiply that by 5, which is 112. So this angle here that worth 5 in A is 112.5. So I did 22.5 times 5. Now I need to do the similar thing to work out what that 5x is. But this time these x's don't add up to 8, they add up to 12. So I'm doing 180 divided by 12. Why? Because there's 12 x's altogether. So one of the x is going to be 180 divided by 12. which gives me 15. So this angle here is 45, this angle here is 60. So we need to work out this angle, which is 15 times 5. That gives you 75. Now 75-degree angle, and that's 112. So obviously we know which one we need to tick. We need to say this is not, they're not same, and we've done that calculation here to show our working out. Question 10 here. 10-kilometer race was held. Information about the time achieved by the women are in the table. So we got all the times that achieved by the woman. So 50 to 60 minutes. One woman took between 50 to 60 seconds to run 10 kilometers, which is impressive. Let's put it that way. So we've been asked to work out the midpoint, means the middle number of 50 to 60, which is 55. These 6 women took 60 to 80. So again, we don't know how exact time the 6 women took. So we're going to say, okay, these 6 women took roughly 70 minutes. That's what this midpoint is about. These 13 women took 80 to 100 minutes. We don't know exact time. So we're going to say, okay, all 13 of them took 90 minutes to complete the race. Now what we're doing is work out the total times taken by these 20 women to complete the 10-kilometer race. So one woman took 55 minutes, so I add that time on, saying that's 55 minutes taken by that first woman. And then 6 of these took 70 minutes, so that'll take me to 420. 70 times 60. And then these 90 women took 13 minutes, so we're going to do 13 times 90, which is 1,170 minutes by these 30 women. So altogether we need to work out how long did all 20 women took. So we can add those numbers on. We get 1,645 minutes taken by these 20 women. So if you want to work out the mean value, if you're going to take this total minutes taken by these 20 women and divide by 20. So work out what's on average one woman would have taken. So we're doing mean value for the women is 1645 divided by 20, and that'll give us the value of 82.25. So on average, women took 82 minutes and 82.25 minutes to complete the race. Whereas compare the mean time achieved by men and women. The men took 81 minutes to complete the race. Okay. So obviously men were faster. That's all we needed to say. That's a comparison, because the men on average took 81 minutes. A woman on average took 82.25 minutes. Price of a computer is reduced by 23%, and the reduced price is £462. Okay. So again, remember that's a reduced by 23%, and that's a reduced price. So 462 is actually same as 23% less than 100%, which gives me 77%. So 462 is exactly same as 77%. So we need to work out the reduction, basically, how much the price is reduced by. So we need to work out what that 23% is in terms of the money. So we can generally, if this is for my question, you can do it very quickly, or you can take your time and understand it. I would work it out saying, as soon as I understand that 462 is my 77%, I would write that down. You generally get marks for that. And then what we're going to do, we're going to work out what 1% is. To get to 1% from 77%, I'm dividing it by 77. And if I do that same thing on that side, if I want to work out what 1% is, I need to divide this by 77 as well. So if I divide 462 by 77, which gives me 6. So I know 1% is equal to 6. And we reduced it by 23. So that's what we want to work out. How much price been reduced? So we want to work out is reduced by 23%. So what is 23%? So multiply by 23. 1 to 23 I'm multiplying by 23. So from 6 times 23, it'd be 138. So 23% is 138. So we have reduced that price by 138. That was your 4th mark. So 4 marks for not a lot of work in a way. Okay. There are other way of looking at it, saying, okay, well, I would using calculator very quickly. I'm saying, okay, the original amount, we don't know what that was. When I go that way, which is 77%, reduce something by 20, I'm multiplying by 0.77 to get to 462. So if I go to work out what the original amount is, I need to divide by 0.77. And when you do that, you can work out that would turns out to be 138 more than 462. So I can do that very quickly. 462 divide by 0.77. That gives me 600. And I did that. So obviously what the reduction in price, 600 take away 462, which is that 138. In a crowd, the ratio between the home supporter and away supporter is x to y. Think about a number. If you don't feel comfortable with the letters, think of a number. X to y, or 1 to 2, or 3 to 4, doesn't matter. If I wanted to write down the fraction of the crowd that are home supporter compared to the whole thing. So whole thing is x plus y. So what fraction of x plus y are the home supporter? So x are the home supporter out of x plus y. That's it. That's all you needed to do. 100 children are asked to ride a bike or swim. So there's two scenarios. They either ride a bike or swim, or they can do both. So 20 can do both. 4 mark questions, complete the Venn diagram. Twice as many can ride the bike as they can swim. So the riding bike cycle should be double the size of the swimming section. Okay, and there are hundreds in total. So all 4 of those should add up to 100. 30 do neither. So we should be able to get 2 marks and put these two numbers in. 20 do both, and 30 do neither. Now let's say these are for the bike and these are for the swim. Now these two added together, these two numbers and these two numbers should be double that these two numbers added together. Okay, and that's what we need to be looking at, and they all should add up to 100. So let's say we're looking to get two numbers that adds up to 50, because that already takes up 50. So these two numbers should add up to 50, but when you add them together with these three, these two should be double that too. Okay? That's what we're looking at. If I put 10, that gives you 30. 30, and if I put 40 there, that's 60. That works. We're not going to look at trial and error. We're going to try to find the work out the way to actually work with it. Okay. So whatever that number is, let's say x, and let's say that number is y. So when I do x plus 20 and multiply by 2, that gives me y plus 20. That's our one of the equation. Another one, x plus y should be 50. Why? Because all 4 numbers add up to 100. So if these are 50 already, so these two should add up to 50. So these are the two solutions or equations that we have. So I can write down the y as 50 minus x. That's what I can write down here. Now we got the simple equation that we can solve here. So 2 times x plus 20 is equal to 50 minus x plus 20. So 50 plus 20 is 70 minus x. Double that, so we get 2x plus 40 equal to 70 minus x. Add x on both sides, we get 3x plus 40 equal to 70. So we know x is 10. 40 add 30 gives you 70. So we obviously going to run through that. 3x is equal to 30 because take away 40 from both sides. So x is 10. So if x is 10, that means x plus y is 50. So y has to be 40. So we done it properly. Not leaving it up to the chance of doing trial and error. We done it properly. To the information that we had, we used it to work out the answers. Here's some information about the times in minutes the teacher took to get to work. Reasonable. 80 teachers, 21 of them took only between less than 20 minutes. 30 of them took between 20 to 40, 19 of them took 40 to 60, and 10 of them took 60 to 90 minutes. And generally that's the area majority people lies when they come to work. On the grid, draw cumulative frequency diagrams. Cumulative frequency means when you accumulate. Okay. So how many people took less than 20 minutes? So let's say there's a cumulative frequency there, less than 20. How many of those people took less than 20 minutes? So these 21 people. Am I doing it wrong? I think, yeah. 21. And how many took less than 40? That's what we're looking for here. Less than 40 means from 20 to 40 and 20 to 0. So all of those added together, less than 40. These 51 people took less than 40 minutes. That's it. Accumulating. We're accumulating everything. And then adding that 19 on will be less than 60. And 19 added on to that, that gives you 70. And then the last one, less than 90. That gives you 80. So because there's 80 teacher took part in the survey, so we should get less than 90 is 80. Everyone got there before 90 minutes. No one took more than 90 minutes to get to the work. Now we need to show that on here. So we compare it always with the upper bound. That's why we're writing this less than 20 to 21. So we're doing the time here less than 20 to 21. So that's your first point here. And then we're saying, okay, less than 30, was that less than 30? We need to keep less than 40, 60, and 90. So less than 40 was 51. And then less than 60 was 70. And then the last one was less than 90 was 80. Excuse me. And then all you have to do is starting from 0, 0, use a smooth curve and join them up. I will find it difficult. You shouldn't. So it always generally gives you that S curve, cumulative frequency diagram. It generally rises high in the middle, slows down on either end. And that's what's called cumulative frequency curve, that S curve. Estimate the percentage of the teacher who took over 45-minute travel to work. Okay, over 45 minutes. So we're going to draw the line where it says 45 all the way to the curve and then read it across. So we're doing this line here. Again, you use ruler to draw the middle line here. I'm going to be looking at there and then read it across. So that's that. So we got 58. 58 that reads it at 45. So if you draw the line at 45. And we need to look at the people who took over 45 minutes. So this side, which is above that. So 58 to 80. So that gives you 22 teachers out of 80 took more than 45-minute work. So you're saying 22 teachers out of 80. Convert that into percentage. All you have to do is just do that fraction into decimal and multiply by 100. So 22 divided by 80, which is 0.275. And then multiply by 100 and gives you 27.5% of the teacher. 27.5% of the teacher took more than 45 minutes to travel to work. The x-axis is a line of symmetry. So that's a line of symmetry. Obviously, you can work out what the other points are if that's a line of symmetry. Your x value is going to be same for C and D. So that's going to be 5. And that's going to be -3. but the y value is going to be in the opposite direction. So negative 4 and negative 4. So those are your 2 points. Circle the 4 inequalities that describe this shaded region. So shaded region means we need to work out, okay, you want your x value to be greater than negative 3, this side. You want x value to be on that side and your x value to be on this side, okay, between negative 3 to 5. You want the x to be bigger than negative 3. So let's say which one's got x being bigger than negative 3. So that's bigger than negative 3 here. Okay, so x has to be less than 5 there. So those two is done. Now we're looking at y. Y has to be bigger than negative 4. Y is greater than negative 4. Which one's y is greater than negative 4? Y is greater than negative 4. And the y has to be smaller than 4. Y has to be less than 4. So these are the 4 inequalities that we should have had. The grid shows y equal to x plus 2. 1 across, 1 up, and you're going through 2. On the grid, identify the region represented by y is greater than or equal to x plus 2 and the y is greater than 6 minus x and x is less than 4. It's 3 mark question. So we need to draw this line here, which is already there. We need to draw this line and we need to draw the line x equal to less than or equal to 4, which is really straightforward because we already looked at it, what that would look like. X is less than or equal to 4, means this side here. So this is the line x equal to 4. And if it's less than or equal to 4, we need to draw a solid line. Sorry about the wonky line. You use ruler when you're doing this in the exam. Make sure you're using the ruler. That's that line done. On this side, remember, left hand side, I'm going to draw the arrow. This is the region that I want. I want y to be greater than 6 minus x. So I need the equation y equal to 6 minus x. So y should be crossing at 6 and the gradient would be negative 1. Okay, so when you go 1 across, you're going 1 down. So you should be going through these points, 1 across, 1 down. So you draw that line, 1 across, 1 down, 1 across, 1 down. So this is the line we need to draw all the way through. So again, excuse my line. Okay, that's the line we want. So we've done the 3 lines. Now we need to shade the region that satisfies all of those inequalities. Okay, so we want y value to be bigger than that. Okay, so let's say we take one of the point and we substitute that one point in here. Let's say we pick this point to identify whether it's going to be true or not. Okay, so x is 3, y is 4. So when you put x equal to 3, 6 minus 3 is smaller than 4. So this is the side we want. We want this side. Obviously, most likely is going to be below that line. But again, we're going to look at that 3, 4 in here. X is 3. So 3 add 2 gives you 5, which is more than 4. So we want this side of the line. So this is the area that we want, where all 3 lines are captured. So that's the region that we want, this triangle here. So we need to draw those lines, y equal to x plus 2, y equal to 6 minus x, and x equal to 4. And then we need to decide, depending on the inequalities. So this one has to be less than. So x plus 2 has to be bigger than y. So we pick a point and substitute those values for the x. So we use the point 3, 4. So when x is 3, y would be 4. If that statement is true, then that's wherever that point is, that's the side we want. If that statement is false, then we don't want that side. We could have used this 0, 0 as well. When 0 in here, 0 in here, is 0 less than 2? Yes, then that's the side we want from that line. For the same thing for this line here, okay? We put 0, 0, let's say. When x is 0, you get 6 minus 0 is 0. Is 0 bigger than 0? No, that's not true. 0 is not bigger than 0, okay? Then we don't want this side of the line. We want the other side of this line. And then for this one again, we put 0, 0. When x is 0, 0 is less than 4. So yes, we do want this side of the line, wherever that 0, 0 point is. We want this side, we want this side. And for this line, we didn't want this side, we want the other side. So we want that side here. And that creates this region here. Again, it's difficult to understand if you've not looked at it before. We need to go away and look at the inequality regions. Another question on the coordinates. The area is 35. So if that's 5, this length here is going to be 7. From P to Q is 7. That gives you the area there is 35 because the height of that rectangle is 5. Work out the one possible set of the points P, Q, R, S. Now again, there's one possible set. So you can be literally any points as long as you're being consistent with it. All the points should have the x coordinates, y coordinates should be consistent. Let's say this point here is 2. X value there is 2. That means that x value would be 9. So you need to be consistent. Now the x value for every single one of those points is going to be 2 and 9. That's one possible point. So that's going to be 2, 5. That's going to be 9, 5. Because remember the height is 5. So these two pairs. And here if I'm saying this is on the x-axis, so that's going to be 2, 0. And that's going to be 9, 0. And that's the only one possible scenario there. Not necessarily all of the scenarios we looked at here. One possible scenario. If that was 3, then that would have been 3, and that would have been 10. If that was 4, 4, and 4 add 7 gives you 11. So 11 and 11. 4 and 5. So I'm making it 4 times bigger, this one number here. 4 times 5 gives you 20. That's the lowest common multiple you can get. And that would be your answer. It's one max, so I don't really need to go through these. Okay, just think of a number that will get you there. A, B, C are different prime numbers. So A, B, and C are all prime numbers. Is the sixth smallest possible value of n? What's the smallest possible prime number? 2. 2 is the smallest possible prime number. So B can be 3 and the C could be 5. Is 6 is the smallest possible value for n. So 2 times 3 times 5 is not going to be 6. Okay. The only time you do that if you make a mistake of making 1 is a prime number there. So the answer is no, and give a reason. So we're starting with the smallest possible prime number, which is 2. 2 times 3 times 5 gives you 30. So that's the smallest possible answer we can get from that. Okay. Function of x is 3 to the power x, where g of x, so another function of x is 3x plus 7. Work out the value of f2 and g2. So instead of x, we're substituting 2 in the function x, so 3 squared, that's f2. So wherever the x is in the function of x, that's what it means. We're substituting x equal to 2, so saying 3 squared, which is 9. So replacing x with 5 in there. So 3 times 5 is 15, 15 add 7 is 22. And then we're adding them together. f2 plus fg5 will give you 9 add 22, which gives you 31. Work out the value of g of f2. So f2 we have 9. We're putting that into g. So g of f2, when you first work out the f2, we worked out f2. f2 was 9. So we're replacing that as a g of 9. So replace whatever in that function, x with 9. So 3 times 9 add 7. 3 times 9 is 27. 27 add 7 gives you 34. And that's what we get. Determine the value of x, which gives you g of x is equal to inverse g of x. So we need to work out what the inverse function of x is. Okay, inverse of g of x. So which is that value here. So we're saying gx is 3x plus 7. And we need to work out what the inverse function of that is going to be. So we generally write it down as y equal to 3x plus 7. And we now, to find the inverse function, we make x the subject. So we take away 7, so we get y minus 7, which is equal to 3x, and divide both sides by 3. So we get x equal to y minus 7 over 3. Replace that with the function saying g of negative x. So wherever the y, see the y, you replace it with x. So that function becomes x minus 7 over 3. That's the inverse function. So the g of x, so function of x is 3x plus 7. The function, inverse function of that is x minus 7 over 3. When are they equal to each other? So we're making them equal to each other, saying, okay, 3x plus 7 is equal to x minus 7 over 3. Multiply both sides by 3, we get 9x plus 21, which is equal to x minus 7. Take away x from both sides, you get 8x plus 21 equal to negative 7. Take away 21 from both sides, we get 8x equal to negative 28. Divide both sides by 8, we get x equal to negative 3.5. And that's what our answer is. Okay, this one here. We made both functions, the g of x and inverse function, equal to each other and solve that to get x equal to negative 3.5. Which of these graphs sketch y equal to 3 to the power x? So when you go x equal to 0, y value would be 1. That's not the right answer there. That's not the right answer there. Actually, that's y value is 1 when x is 0. But when x is 1, y value would be 3, somewhere here. When x is 2, y value would be 9 and 3. So you should be going up that side. So B is not your answer. C, yes, is going through the 1 and is going up. So this is our answer here, C. Here are the two closed containers. 4 tennis balls just fit into each container. Okay, so that's the cuboid, that's the cylinder. You're putting the 4 tennis ball in there. Okay, which container has the least wasted space when the tennis balls are inside? Volume of the sphere is 4/3 pi r cube. Again, it's given to you, you don't have to worry about it. And then you got the cuboid, and we know the length and the height and the width of the cuboid. So we need to work out the volume of the cuboid and the volume of the cylinder. Right? And again, the answer is going to be cylinder. Why? Because the majority of the time when you buy a tennis ball, they come in that. But I don't know, let's work it out, see what we get. So we need to work out saying, okay, the diameter of tennis ball is 66 millimeter. So the height of this is 66, and the double that, so we get to work out the length and the depth of the cuboid. So double 66, we got 132 and 132. So work out the volume of the cuboid. So we multiply all of those numbers together and we get our answer in millimeter squared, which is volume of this cuboid is 11 million. Work out the volume of cylinder. So the radius is 33. So we're doing 33 squared multiplied by pi, and then multiply by the 4 lots of 66. And for the volume here, we get is 9 cube. So that's 903,195 millimeter cube. That's all we needed to work out. So that's the volume of the cylinder, because we're doing the area of the base multiplied by the length, which is 4 lots of 65, because they're tightly packed. There's no space in between. Here we had the height, which is 66, because the diameter is 66. That length is 132. That length is 132. When you multiply all of those together, it gives you this. So working out this will give you the answer anyway. Which one uses the less space? So that's the total volume, take away 4 balls, which is same thing. Total volume, take away 4 balls will give you the wasted space. And we know that total volume is already a lot smaller than the cuboid. And this is one of the reasons you get the tennis ball in those. There we go. So that's the cylinder, we have less space wasted. You've done the working out already. Okay, we did here 33 squared multiplied by pi and multiplied by 4 lots of 66. And that would have got you the. Obviously here we did 132 times 132 times that 66 gives you that answer here, millimeter cube. So that's smaller than this one, so obviously this one will have less space wasted. The graph shows the speed of a mountain bike on a trail. Nick wants to calculate the distance traveled by the bike in the first 80 seconds. First 80 seconds stops here. He works out the area of the triangle with the vertices 0, 0, 80 and 6, and 80 and 0. So he works out the area of this triangle here. Sorry if I did the triangle wrong, but that's what the triangle is going to be. Does Nick gives a good estimate? Yes or no? Give a reason for answer. I'd say no. And my reason for it is there's a lot of area here that Nick's not taking account of. Here's the next method to work out the estimate of the distance. Okay, so let's use that. The height is 6, the base is 80. So we're doing 80 times 3, which is 240. So half times 6 times 80. So we're doing 80 times 6, which is 240 meter. Meter per second speed. So we need to get meters as our unit. We need to work out what 1 square is then in terms of, okay, 10 by 1. So 1 square is actually 10 square meter. Okay. 1 by 10. So if I do that, 10 multiplied by 1. So again, this area is the distance in meters. So 10 by 1 gives you 10. So 1 small square is 10 meters. So if, sorry, 1 big square is 10 meters. So it's 30 square, where 1 square equal to 10 meters. So the 30 square means 30 times 10 meter, which is 300 meter in the distance. Okay. 30 square implies 300 meter. Okay, let's put these numbers in the formula here. So value of the new car is 40,000. So 40,000 equal to A times k to the power negative 0. Because the t is 0 when it's brand new. So we can say k to the power negative 0 would be 1. So A is 40,000. So we worked out A is 40,000. Now the value after 2 years, so we're saying, okay, after 2 years is 15,000. So we're saying, okay, after 2 years is 15,625. We know A is 40,000, so he's doing 40,000 times k to the power negative 2. So we want to work out what k is actually. So divide this by 40,000. And if another way you can look at it is saying, okay, if I wanted to change that to the positive 2, you can write here as a 1 over k squared. So if I wanted to change that into positive 2, that can be written as 1 over k squared. That's k to the power negative 2. If you flip both of them over, then you can get the positive power rather than the negative power. So you can actually work with that, saying, okay, k squared is 40,000 over 15,625. And we need to square root that. So we can do square root of, so we get k equal to 1 whole 1 and 3/5. Because you get 20 at the top and then the 5, okay, whatever that is. 1 whole 1 and 3/5, that's what we get at the top. So k value is 1 whole 1 and 3/5, and the A was 40,000. AFE is straight line, which is A to F to E. This is really careful. AF to FE is 5 to 4. So AF to FE is 5 to 4. Let's just put that down. Okay. Whenever that 5, this is 4. D is parallel to CF. So DE is parallel to CF. So let's just put that down. DE is parallel to CF. So these two lines are parallel. DE is 2.5 times CF. So this is, whatever that length is, this is 2.5 times bigger. Okay, I'm putting it on there so we can actually use it. EF is 2A, so EF is 2A. This way is 2A, so that way would be negative 2A. AB is B, and CB is 5C, so that's CB is 5C here. Okay, so we got everything sorted. Work out the DE in terms of A, B, and C. So we need to work out CF here first. And to work out CF, we need to get to this point here, from here. So we need to work out what AF is. So let's say, or FA, doesn't matter which way you want to go. So we know this information here, we use that. So 5 to 4, and that's 2A, 0.5A. Multiplying 4 by 0.5A to get to 2A. So I need to multiply this by 0.5A as well. And that'll give you 2.5A. And that's distance from here to F to A then is 2.5A. We're going to continue that way. Okay, so it's the same size, double the slightly bigger vector there, F to A. So we've done that. Now we can use these three things to work out what CF is. So vector CF, so I'm going 5C. We're going to take that root that we know. Okay, so 5C plus or minus B, because you're going opposite that B. Again, opposite of that A as well. So you got take away 2.5A. And that'll take you to F. So CF is that. And we need to work out what DE is in terms of A, B, and C. So we're going to multiply every single thing here by 2.5 to work out what DE is going to be. So multiply this vector here by 2.5. So get 12.5C minus 2.5B minus 2.5 times 2.5 is 6.25, but okay, not taking the risk. Minus 6.25A, and that's your vector DE. Here's a graph of the y equal to f of x. The graph has a turning point 1 and negative 3. So that's point here, 1 and negative 3. And this is function of x here. Whatever that is, it seems like quadratic function, but that's function of x. On the grid, draw the graph of f of x plus 3. So we're adding 3 to that. Okay, so in the x direction, it moves in the backward, moves 3 down that way. When to get x equal to 1, f of 1 here, y value, f of 1 here, I need to put x value to be negative 2, which is there. So everything's moved that way, 3 places. Okay, so your graph will look exactly the same, but 3 places moved that way. Okay, so that graph, all of it moves 3 places that way. The graph of 2x squared plus x minus 7 is reflected on the y-axis. Y-axis means this. If it reflects on that, where would it look like? Okay, so it looks the same, but the y value would change. X value will go from positive to negative, negative to positive. Y value remains same. If you reflect it in the y-axis, then your x will go to minus x. That's all you have. What happens if you reflect it in the y-axis? So we're just going to rewrite that thing. Okay, y is equal to 2 times negative x squared plus negative x minus 7. So what we get is still the same. 2x squared minus x minus 7. That's what you get.